Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Luke Mick,
And my
today...
name's mickluke.
What are you doing here, Mick Luke?
Well, I hear you're making a Vinegar Syndrome video, Luke Mick. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep, that's correct. What does it matter to you?
That's really funny, Luke Mick. That's really funny. But in case you forgot, I'm the one that placed that halfway to Black Friday order, not you.
Yeah, I mean, if they're on the shelf and, you know, they're here in my possession, I might as well watch them, I guess. There was some nice hot garbage in that order that you placed, you know? I'll give you credit for that. I've been enjoying my time with them. Okay? Does that make you happy?
I've also been watching some Vinegar Syndrome titles, Luke Mick. You mind if I hop in and give some of my own recommendations?
That's funny. I haven't seen you down here watching any of them. How did you sneak by me there?
Luke Mick, you should know this by now. What I watch, you watch. What I hear, you hear. What I taste, you taste. What I feel, you feel. Get me? Catch my drift? Bada bing, bada boom?
Yep. I suppose you have a point there.
Well, with that, let's start this Vinegar Syndrome Black Friday sale recommendations video with Luke Mick. Coming up first, a strong line drive is Blood Games. This is an exploitation revenge action thriller about an all-female softball team who is driving around the deep south looking for games to play, and they play an all-male team of deplorables. They wipe their asses with the dirt of the field. What the fuck does that even mean? They kick their asses on that baseball field, that's for sure. They send them out to the greens, all the way back there chasing home runs. Anyway, they beat this team. Of course, the masculine males are not happy about it, and they start making sexual advances and even more violent advances on these women, and it causes them to fight back. And that's the type of movie that this is. Now, I'll be honest, I was pretty tipsy.
I was a little drunk.
When I watched this movie, and it was just cracking me up.
I was
Hysterical.
During Blood Games.
There were so many little visual inside jokes that I found to be just hilarious, like check is in the mail and happy birthday Roy. It just really cracked me up. Blood Games I thought was a really fun and funny movie.
Hey
everyone, sorry to interrupt the illusion of the video here, but while editing my Blood Games review or just my words on it, I completely forgot to mention something that I love to death about Blood Games. In general, I love it when movies, especially horror or exploitation movies, have a baseball scene, like in the original Sleepaway Camp.
No problem, Gino. This guy blows dead dogs. Just lay it in there.
Eat shit and die, Ricky!
Eat shit and live, Bill.
Yeah, Bill, he's a little wet. Come on, Bill.
That's one of the most memorable standout scenes in that entire movie for me. And of course, Blood Games being a movie about baseball or softball, you'd expect there to be a scene where they're playing the game, and there is, and it is a great one. People get balls intentionally thrown at their balls. Girls get elbowed in the face. There's so much roughing on the field, and it's just a fantastic aggro baseball scene. Best baseball or softball scene in a movie I've ever seen. It was hilarious. So I just had to say that because that's a big draw for Blood Games. That's a big reason why I love it. And I can't believe I forgot to say it in my initial recording of my thoughts. So back to the video. There were honestly a few twists and turns in the story of this movie that I was not expecting. It was pretty unpredictable at times, and it also features George Buck Flower as one of these southern softball goons that are attacking these women. I'll be honest with you, it does get a little bit slow kind of in the middle of the third act towards the end of the film. They could have cut a good 5 minutes out of this movie and I think it would have helped the pacing a bit more, but I still just recall really enjoying this one and having a great drunk old time with Blood Games. So if it sounds interesting to you, I'd recommend getting your hands on it. The Vinegar Syndrome website at this point in time is now down until Black Friday. Pretty sure the slipcover was still in stock. It may have been running kind of low, but it should still be available for you to pick up. So just so you can see the slip and the spine and everything. And I think I have the alternate artwork on, which
is really weird. I noticed this right after watching the movie, but every single girl on this alternate artwork is not in the movie. Like, it's just a different group of girls. I don't know why that is, but, it varies up the artwork a little bit, I guess. So that's Blood Games. I'd recommend this one if you're looking for a good old-fashioned revenge exploitation movie. McLuke, are you ready to share your first pick?
All right, very, very good pick, Luke Mick. Thank you for moving on to me. Now, where are my movies? Wait, hold on. Cut. Gotta get my movies. So the first movie I want to talk about is Spookies. This is one of the loveliest sets that Vinegar Syndrome has put out. 2 Blu-ray discs full of special features. Bonkers movie that's just crazy on all levels. It's one of the Vinegar Syndrome staples, if you will. If you're trying to get into Vinegar Syndrome releases, this is one of the very best ones to start with, and it's a great one for veterans too. You can't go wrong with Spookies. Think Houseu, or think The Evil Dead mixed with a little bit of, Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed. You get a whole bunch of crazy crap in Spookies. There's monsters everywhere. It starts out as an Evil Dead, like, satanic rituals type thing, but then there's a ton of other ghoulies and monsters and spiders and gremlins and everything everywhere and skeletons. Any type of monster you want in a movie, you'll get in Spookies. And on top of that, the special effects are A1. They are awesome. These are some of the most bomb special effects that you can find in 80s horror movies. Spookies is a gem. It's a classic. It's hilarious. It's misguided, but it's loved by many, and it's loved by me. Spookies, you are a great film. We love you to death. I highly recommend Spookies, as I believe Luke Mick would as well. Back to you, Luke Mick.
The next one I have in my hands here is a film in the Vinegar Syndrome catalog that I feel is a bit underappreciated, at least it feels that way. I've never heard anybody talk about it. And it's not a horror movie, it's actually an action movie, and that's Shot. This was filmed in Illinois in a college town. It's actually a college-produced film with a $15,000 budget. I'm pretty sure all of the actors, most of them, are probably college students. And it's essentially a classic cops and robbers or cops and gangsters type story. It's definitely very much influenced by films like The French Connection and Dirty Harry. And it's honestly, given the budget and just the amateur age range of these filmmakers, of these young filmmakers, it's really well done. The action is awesome. There are a lot of great car stunts and car chase scenes that are shot really well, and the stunt work is also very, very raw, rough, and convincing. And I also really like the writing in this movie. It's very generic. Honestly, what Shot feels like is if you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and you've seen the episodes where the gang tries to recreate Lethal Weapon, this feels like something like that. This came out many years before Lethal Weapon, but it feels like a movie that the gang would make. But it's actually pretty competently done with all of the stunt work. I liked the music a lot too. I liked the way the characters were written. They were very hammy and over the top, and their performances, technically not good performances, they really work for Shot and had me cracking up. Some of the lines these cops say in this movie were so questionable, and it was funny. And the gangsters too, or the bad guys, whatever you want to call them. I don't even remember what their whole trade is. I think they're smuggling drugs around or something. But I was just very impressed with the cinematography and the stunt work in this film, as well as how funny and enigmatic the characters in Shot were. I think it's really great. I really like this one. It's a great film in the Vinegar Syndrome collection in the catalog. I'm not sure if the slipcover is still in stock. It may have gone out of stock shortly before the website went down in preparation for this Black Friday sale. But it seems like this slipcover was in stock for a while, which makes me think that people aren't interested in this movie and they're not buying it. But I would highly recommend it. It's not a horror movie, but it's a pretty awesome cops versus bad guys action movie that is very competently made based on just the experience that these filmmakers had. I mean, it's a very impressive attempt at a film, and I think it works on a lot of different levels. I also just love the artwork on this release. The slipcover is incredible. I think it's old scribblings and drawings that they were using as promotional material for this film. And I'll also just show you the alternate artwork underneath the slipcover here. It's more drawn out, more animated looking cover, but it's got a nice bluish purple police color blue on the back there. So Shot, I would highly recommend this one. I really like this film, and I think it needs more recognition. Definitely check it out. And back to you, McLuke.
Now, the next one that I want to recommend here is a little movie called Pledge Night. Pledge Night is about a fraternity, and the what do they call them? I was never in a fraternity. I tried really hard to be in one, old Mick Luke, but those frat boys never liked Mick Luke. They never did. They thought I was too loud or something, I don't know. What do they call them? Pledges? Is that what they're called? Pledge Night is a really fun slasher movie. The first half of it and the second half of it are like two completely different movies. The first half is kind of a dark comedy, almost. It feels like a 70s or 80s college teen comedy, but there's just kind of this impending feeling of doom. You know that it's going to start to get nasty and violent at some point, so it makes every action and every trial that these pledges have to go through feel stressful. It also has a kicking ass soundtrack by Anthrax. I was jamming out and rocking my head throughout half the movie with that Anthrax music. But then the second half of the movie is when we really get into the horror and slasher stuff, and it has really great special effects as well. There's not a lot of on-camera deaths, but we see a lot of the aftermaths, and it's pretty brutal and pretty gross. The last half of the movie is definitely what you would expect it to be, but the first half has this weird, slow build-up to a completely 180 bonkers, crazy, out there
second half.
There are also pretty decent performances and characters in this movie. I'm talking mostly about the main character in the first half of the film. He talks to his mother in a few scenes of the film, and those scenes felt really down to earth and realistic, and it made me actually care about the character to some capacity, which was really surprising. It's also got some good interviews with some of the actors and the director on this disc. This is the slipcover edition that is now, unfortunately, out of print, but it is a pretty cool slipcover design, and we'll take a look here, and it's got very nice alternate artwork with a little arm coming out of a toilet with a banana. You know, it's kind of like a scene from the movie, but not exactly. And that's Pledge Night. It's like a little bit of a mix between... I won't say Black Christmas. I only want to say Black Christmas because that's a sorority movie and this is a fraternity movie. That's really the only thing they have in common, that, and it's kind of a slasher. But it's almost a little bit like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, and the villain in this movie really surprised me. I'll just say that. It was a big twist on the villain, but this has a good setup. This is a good, fun slasher movie that I'd recommend if you're looking for a gory, cheesy, early 90s, late 80s era slasher flick. Pledge Night is a pretty solid one in my book.
And one of the last films that I want to talk about here is a film called Deadline. I was really impressed with this film, similar to the way I was impressed with Shot, because with a lot of Vinegar Syndrome titles, you're kind of expecting a lot of trash and movies that are so bad that they're good, kind of like Blood Games or any of the other ones that Mick Luke was talking about. But to me, Deadline was actually a very well-made psychological drama. I could compare it to things like 8.5 or The Shining. It's honestly a character study as well. It's about a writer similar to Stephen King. He's a horror writer, and he has a lot of different criticisms coming to him. For one, he really wants to expand his creativity and explore different avenues of his writing abilities and make more intellectual, deeper work than just writing these chintzy horror stories that everyone's eating up and buying like crazy. But his publishers really want him to focus on just making money, making these quick stories, making these bloody, violent horror stories that people are buying like crazy. But then there are also people who are coming at him and saying, look, do you think that your writing, your work, is having a negative influence and impact on society because some of the stuff you're writing is so depraved? So this film, right off the bat, set up a lot of conflicts and questions like that thematically were just way more deep than I had expected for a film that has a cover like this. Like, I was expecting something very different. The main character is a little bit stern and a little bit flat, but it works throughout the movie because he's just so fed up with everything around him that it makes it funny. Some of the lines of dialogue that he has, I was just cracking up at. You know, I mean, it's a movie that's very competently made, but there are still parts in the script that just have awkward, funny, questionable dialogue, and that's part of the charm of the movie as well. But Deadline is very solid, and it's not without its blood and gore too. Throughout the film, we see little shorts of essentially stories that he's written being played out through film, and that's where a lot of the bloodshed in this film comes from. But overall, I think Deadline just on its own is a good film. It's not so bad it's good, it's not garbage, it's a pretty competent, well-made drama. It's not to the same caliber as The Shining or 8.5 like Fellini or Kubrick. It's not that good, but it's in the same vein as those types of films, and it worked for me. I really liked Deadline, and I would recommend grabbing it. I don't think that the slipcover is still in stock. Maybe Vinegar Syndrome will scrounge up a few that maybe got lost in the warehouse and have them on sale, but before the sale, or before the website closed, slipcovers were out of stock. But it has a really nice alternate artwork that I really love with the bloody typewriter here. So yeah, that is Deadline. Awesome movie. I'd highly recommend it. And the last one I want to talk about here is Slaughterhouse. This movie is filthy. It's disgusting. Let me take it out of this slip box here, because you want to know, you'll know this cover. It's a very iconic looking, recognizable cover. Slaughterhouse. There you go. This big guy here, big old chungus on the front. He's gonna cut you up and feed you to the piggies, he is. Yeah! Now, I really like Slaughterhouse, not only because it's a gory, disgusting, filthy-feeling slasher movie, but there's also a lot of great small-town politics going on in this movie about the sale of this old, dilapidated meat factory, an old pig factory. It has really great performances from the townsfolk trying to persuade this guy who owns this factory to sell it off, but he's been there forever. It's a family factory, and he doesn't want to let it go, and his crazy inbred-like son is going around killing teenagers and killing the people who are trying to get in the way and steal that factory. This film opens up with a really disgusting, vile, and shocking intro. The opening credits are played over footage of an actual meat processing facility gutting pigs, draining their blood, turning them into jerky and bacon or whatever, and it's really off-putting. It's super grimy, really disgusting, and quite disturbing to watch, but then the rest of the film is cheesy. It's a corny, I think this came out in the mid-80s, 87, you know, horror movie, horror slasher, and it's just a lot of fun. It has a lot of really great standout villainous characters, lots of good gore, a pretty exciting finale, and a pretty solid narrative setup for this kind of movie. It's a little bit of a cut above your average straight-to-video 80s slasher movie. I really like Slaughterhouse. I think Luke Mick would say the same, and that's all I gotta say about Slaughterhouse. Buddy has an axe to grind, a big axe. And very quickly before we go, I just want to point out two other titles. They're newer releases from Vinegar Syndrome, and I'm not positive that they will be on sale for the Black Friday sale. The first one might be. That's Ladrones de Tumbas, or Grave Robbers, and this is directed by Ruben Galdino Jr., and this is a Mexican horror slasher that also has this sort of urban legend type element to the story, and it was a very well done, competent, gory slasher movie that I really enjoyed. I watched it for Halloween. Really awesome set design as well. They spend a lot of time in this cemetery and in this tomb, and everything looked very authentic and very nice. So I would definitely recommend this one, Grave Robbers. And I'd also just like to shout out Cementerio del Terror. This is from the same director as Grave Robbers. This is a brand new release that I actually haven't watched yet, but I enjoyed Grave Robbers so much that I feel pretty confident that this is a good film as well. I've also heard a lot of positive things about this one already. I think people are really digging this one, and I just want to point it out and say, you know, if you've seen Grave Robbers or you're interested in that one, keep this one on your radar too, because it's supposed to be pretty sweet. So that is Cemetery of Terror. And that's all I have for the recommendations for this video. I want to thank you all for sticking with me to the end. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Leave a comment down below if there are some titles that you would recommend or titles that you're looking to grab during this Vinegar Syndrome Black Friday sale. I know I'll be right there behind my desktop the second it turns midnight. I'm very much looking forward to it, but I'm also very anxious because there are a couple out there that I want to grab that I don't want to sell out. I think a lot of us feel that way. But in all seriousness, thank you all for watching. I hope to see you soon, and we'll talk to you later.